to me, and I can take a look at it and point them in the right direction as well. And they will not have to pay anything for the consultation. And of course, it's the book release for my new book, Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools, which is a book that took me 3 years to write. It's 550 plus pages of solutions for Black parents, how to respond to the schools. If they want to put your child in special ed, this is what you do. If they want you to put them on medicine, this is what you do. If your child is in special ed but isn't receiving the service that they should be receiving, this is how you handle that. So this book picks up where the first book left off. The first book was all about making sure parents understood the psychoacademic Holocaust. This book is all about making sure parents can respond to the psychoacademic Holocaust.
That's great.
And that's what your doctorate is in, correct? The child.
My doctorate is in clinical psychology, and I'm also a certified school psychologist. So I go between both worlds. I'm a clinician and a therapist, and I'm also a school diagnostician. So my job as a school psychologist is to evaluate and determine if children have learning disabilities, the 13 of which is federally defined, because special education is a national program and it is a federally funded program. It is a law. And those 13 disabilities are autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disability, the speech and language impairment, deafness, blindness, traumatic brain injury, orthopedic impairment, multiple disabilities, other health impairments, children who are both deaf and blind, the hearing impairment, and the most popular of the 13, which is the specific learning disability. And that comes in 8 subtypes: basic reading, reading fluency, reading comprehension, math calculations, math reasoning, listening comprehension, oral expression, and written expression. So you should never hear someone tell you my child has a learning disability unless they can tell you which of the 8 types your child has.
Yes, I mean that's amazing, and I relate a lot to that personally, because when I was in elementary, my teacher was trying to state that I had some type of, like attention disorder, because every time work was given to me, like I was the first to finish, and then I would like be going around to other kids. But what she didn't understand was that I was actually like helping other kids like with their work. So basically the work just wasn't like challenging for me, So I'm really like.
And don't you have sons?
Yeah,
so he specialized. I mean, he not specializes, but essentially the name of the book is
Black Parent Advocate.
Right. And it's kind of like helping the parent also see the son, like the young Black boys, basically,
Right.
and them being told,
right,
and girls as well, but them being told that they have attention deficit disorder, and any
all of which are what they are highly subjective categories. This is one of the things I'm going to talk about Saturday at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, which is why I'm hoping all parents who listen to your show come out, and anybody from the community who cares about our children, which should be everybody from the community. The most popular disabilities that are given to our children are the most subjective disabilities. And what I mean by that is the ADHD and the learning disability. Those are the mother and father of the psychoacademic Holocaust. The learning disability in the school psychology, ADHD in the clinical psychology, and they're highly subjective. You cannot prove a reading disability. If one of you have a child with an IEP for reading, prove to me your child has a reading disability. You can't. You cannot identify the location of the reading disability in the human brain because it is an idea. Same thing with ADHD. Prove to me the child has ADHD. What you call ADHD to me might be an unmotivated child. It might be a disinterested child. It might be an unmotivated teacher whose own habit is rubbing off on the child. It might be a child coming from a home where there's no discipline. Okay, it could be a child dealing with emotional problems. Same thing with the learning disabled child. That's normally a child who ain't been taught, okay, doesn't practice enough, probably doesn't do homework, probably goes to a school that hasn't achieved minimum basic skill levels in years. There's always competing explanations for learning disabilities and ADHD. But of course, Houston public schools want you to blame the child. And of course, we have a lot of lazy parents who would also like to blame the child. It's easier to blame the child than for the adults to do a better job. And that's why children always get left holding the bag, because mom don't want to take responsibility and the teacher don't want to take responsibility. So it's easier to blame the child. Now, of course, that's not all parents. A lot of parents are simply miseducated and underinformed. And that's why it's my job, to make sure parents do what they do. That's why I coming back to Houston. That's why I travel as much as I do, because there's no other psychologist doing what I'm doing in this country, period. Whether they're in the conscious community or the mainstream Black community, I am primarily the reason why Black parents now feel more empowered to fight back. I'm the reason they understand what special ed is really about and what ADHD really is. And that's why I come. People say, why you keep coming back to Houston? Well, number one, I get a lot of love there, but also it's a very large community. Houston
it very much so is.
It's a top 5 Black American city, which means no matter how many times I come, I'll never get everybody. It's like New York City. No matter how many times I come to New York, I'll never get everybody. So the big cities get more attention. And this is for the brothers and sisters in the small cities. I'm not overlooking you. It's just that the large cities have to get me multiple times because they have 10, 20, 30 times as many Black people as you do. That doesn't mean I ignore the small cities, though, because I will at some point be coming back to San Antonio. I will be going to Austin, which is not necessarily a small city, but I'll be in Austin on Sunday, July the 25th. I'm just waiting for that information. And of course, I'll be in Dallas the day after Houston. I'll be in Houston Saturday, but I'll be in Dallas Sunday at the Aldi's Caribbean restaurant, 7879 Spring Valley Road. Same time, 2 to 8 free, 2 to 4 lecture Q&A, 4 to 8 book signing. So this is the first time I've done Houston and Dallas together.
That's definitely going to be a whole H-Town, Dallas,
Texas
D-Town
State,
experience.
Austin as well. So I've never done all 3 cities in the same month before. So I'm very excited.
I'm also excited. On that note, we're going to take a small break because I want to make sure someone from YouTube just said they weren't hearing you well, and I want to make sure they get all of this goodness and information. Okay, I'm Miss Lovey, Queen of all things indie. We're sitting here for the 2nd season of the She Shed Show, and we have our special guest, Dr. Umar. Give us a second, and we'll be right back.